Welcome everyone to the Barrie Police Service Board meeting of April 20th. Those in present, those who may be watching us live or later on YouTube. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Begin with our land acknowledgement. I'd like to start in keeping with Indigenous protocol and building respectful relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada. It is customary to acknowledge the traditional territories and ancestral lands of our Indigenous peoples. We would like to acknowledge this sacred land in which the Barrie Simcoe Emergency Service Campus operates. It has been the site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the ancestral land of the Huron-Wendat and the Anishinaabe Nation. The treaty that was signed for this particular parcel of land is collectively referred to as the Williams Treaty. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture. We also recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Miigwech. The agenda was distributed in advance. I should just, for those watching publicly, Deputy Mayor Thompson and Mayor Nuttall are joining us virtually, so they are present here today. A motion to approve today's agenda. Mr. Khan, seconder.
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Thompson, any comments, questions, adjustments, etc., with respect to today's agenda? Seeing none, those in favor? Thank you. Any members of the board required to declare any conflict of interest with respect to today's agenda? Seeing none. Also submitted in our package in advance was the minutes from our meeting of March the 16th, 2023. Motion to approve. Mr. Khan, seconder, please.
So moved.
Seconded.
Yep. Mayor Nuttall, any comments, questions, adjustments with respect to our minutes? Seeing none, those in favor? Thank you. There were 4 items included in our consent agenda this month, which were provided to the members in advance: staff acknowledgements, public complaints, strategic plan update, and the Missing Person Act report of 2022. Before I ask for a motion, I will advise the board that we move the strategic plan update. That is normally a presentation to us. But since we're only 3 months into our current strategic plan, we thought just a consent to advise the board, and it's well written, and it's included in the consent rather than a presentation. Next quarter, we will begin the presentations of our annual or our quarterly strategic plan update. A motion to receive the consent agenda. Mr. Khan, second. Mayor Nuttall, are there any questions, comments for the chief or deputy chief with respect to those items? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you very much. Chief, I'll hand it over to you, please, for your update for the board, please.
Thank you, Board Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight to the board and to our community a few of the events and initiatives that have occurred since our last board meeting. So in a unique pilot project that was launched in early March, the Barrie Police Service and South Simcoe Police K-9 units have joined to form a shared response team that will serve their respective communities for the remainder of 2023. This collaborative undertaking will provide a coverage plan that is beneficial for both service areas and will see 4 K-9 officers along with their K-9 partners patrolling 7 days a week and ready to respond to calls for service as they arise. When K-9 resources are required, whether it be for a missing person search or any form of detection, the need for efficiency and a timely response can never be compromised. Both services recognize that time is often a determining factor when a K-9 unit is operationally deployed. As mentioned, this is a pilot project. We anticipate they'll be beneficial to both respective communities. Having said that, though, we're tracking measurables. And once complete, the program will be thoroughly evaluated. So we'd welcome Constable William and Police Service Dog Nitro to our joint team. I will just give a shout out there already. In the 17th of April in the Barrie today, there was one of the Barrie Police K9 teams had attended down in South Simcoe and assisted in a break and enter investigation where a 36-year-old male was tracked and arrested. So there was a great cooperation, obviously ongoing between South Simcoe Police Service as well as the Barrie Police Service. The Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls decal. The Barrie Police Service is proud of our ongoing partnerships with the collaboration with the Treaty 3 Police Service. We've joined Treaty 3 Police Service in placing the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls decals on 4 of our police cars as we support their efforts to encourage dialogue on this important topic for our country. If you wish to learn more about the decals, please visit the Barrie Police Service website where you can find that information. So some community events. March 24th I had the pleasure of attending a luncheon in celebration of March being Persian Heritage Month. In addition, Nowruz was celebrated, which is the beginning of the Persian New Year. And I apologize if the pronunciation was incorrect. I believe that's correct. So together we celebrated Persian culture, history, and our beautifully diverse community. So on Saturday, March 25th, the Barrie Legion held its 19th annual peacekeeping function. The Canadian Association of Veterans and United Nations Peacekeepers presented a certificate of appreciation to our Records and Information Management Manager, Nicole Lees, and our auditor, Catherine Chittick, on behalf of the Barrie Police Service for our participation and assistance with collecting toys for Toy Mountain over the last several years. With every community event we participated in, what is always consistent is the generosity of our community and their show of support for those who need it most. In late March, this is about service innovation, quite exciting. In late March, our team met with members of the London, Ontario Police Service Victim Choice Reporting Unit attached to their uniform division to learn more about video reporting, their video reporting system used to obtain witness and victim statements by using a URL link sent by the investigating officer directly to the witness, which enables a secure live video stream. This innovative live video feed reporting option allows for community members to not only report crimes from a safe place of their choice, but allows for the investigating officer to proficiently conduct a comprehensive interview without leaving the police station. And there's a number of the purpose behind it, and the benefits are quite lengthy. It's certainly from a purpose perspective, it maximizes officer efficiency, increases victim satisfaction in that victim chooses if they wish to report in this method. So it puts that power back in their hands. Increased time available for frontline officers to prioritize emerging calls and proactive policing. And with that controlled situation, there's more thorough investigations involved in that too. That from London's perspective, and that's what they found. And they've identified some of the benefits from their end was best evidence is their reference, victim-centered, efficient, private, and convenient. Decreased response times, officer efficiencies, again, availability for the front line is increased, and it eliminates the driving and all that lost time that's generally not accounted for, and that accumulates quite quickly. On April 5th, ceremony of remembrance, members of the Barrie Police Service leadership team attended the Vimy Ridge Day breakfast held at Base Borden. Our morning began at the restored training trenches where a ceremony of remembrance was held. The morning concluded with Major General Lise Bourgeon speaking to the legacy of the Canadians who captured Vimy Ridge and its important success within the First World War. On April 11th, members from our service attended the Canadian Blood Services Centre in Barrie and participated in our quarterly Barrie Police Service blood drive. We will continue to be partners for life with the Canadian Blood Services by participating in many more blood drives into the future. See in the pictures to the right. Later that evening, our service hosted the 2919 Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps, the Grey and Simcoe Foresters, who heard from our recruiting unit, received a tour of the Barrie Simcoe Emergency Services campus, and saw demonstrations by our K9 and tactical support units, I think that's they found it quite rewarding as well. A number of them had commented that policing was something that they were thinking about in their future. So always an opportunity to look to the future in terms of recruiting. We get into some investigations now. So on March 19th, Barrie Police Service was advised of a suspected impaired driver traveling from Springwater and into Barrie. Citizen who called police found an opportunity to safely remove the keys from the ignition prior to the police arrival. The investigation resulted in a 21-year-old female from Woodbridge being charged with impaired operation. I just want to say thank you to the concerned citizen who took the action that night in stopping the accused motor vehicle from traveling any further prior to police arrival. Because of their brave efforts, a serious motor vehicle collision was likely prevented. So thank you. On March 31st, Barrie Police received a complaint about a suspicious vehicle and an occupant in possession of a knife having made a threat to a pedestrian. Frontline members located and stopped the vehicle. 19-year-old male occupant was charged with weapons dangerous, 2 counts possession of drugs, and specifically fentanyl and methamphetamine. On April 5th, Barrie Police received a report of a suspicious activity involving a motor vehicle in the city's south end. Investigation led to the arrest of 2 males. As a result of the ongoing investigation, the Street Crime and Drug Unit executed a search warrant at a Barrie residence where a quantity of suspected cocaine was seized. The driver, a 41-year-old male from Barrie, was charged with trafficking, controlled substance, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and possession. The 27-year-old passenger from Brampton was charged with possession, failed to comply with a release order, and failed to comply with a peace bond. On April 12th, Barrie Police Service commenced an investigation into a number of overnight occurrences where an unknown male was seen performing an indecent act. As a result of the ongoing investigation conducted by the Crimes Against Persons Unit, 51-year-old male of no fixed address was identified, located, and arrested. The male has been charged with 2 counts of indecent act, 2 counts of voyeurism, and trespass by night. Finally, as a member highlight, so on April 14th, Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Mary Simon, Governor General of Canada, invested Inspector Valerie Gates as a member into the Order of Merit of the Police Forces at Rideau Hall in Ottawa, alongside other police members from across Canada. The Order of Merit of the Police Forces was established in October 2000 to recognize a commitment to this country and to honor a career of exceptional service or distinctive merit displayed by officers or civilians of Canadian Police Services. The Order of Merit of the Police Forces is a fellowship of honor based on the highest qualities of citizenship, service to Canada, to the police community, and to humanity at large. I have before me, Chair, a long list of accomplishments. Needless to say, in terms of across a career, certainly some impactful things were accomplished by Inspector Gates. I will simply conclude that stating that the bar for receiving this honor is high, but Inspector Gates has once again raised it. And that would conclude my update to the board, Chair.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. Any questions for the chief? Please.
There we go. Just one, sir. Just with regard to the, I believe you referred to it as a pilot project in London regarding the reporting. It is a pilot?
It is, but as a result of their findings, they're going to move forward with a permanent unit with respect to victim choice reporting.
And is it something that we would be looking at incorporating as well into the alternate response?
We are absolutely looking into it, and that was it was a purposeful visit in terms of looking at an operationally effective program that's already up and running, and you know, working out the bugs. So the team that went was able to address from start to finish in terms of what it's going to look like. So we're looking at different ways to more efficiently, effectively reach out, and at the same time have our victims have a from a trauma-informed lens, have them have the ability to, if that's better for them, then we meet them where they're at, rather than us just showing up. Sometimes that's not helpful.
What I was curious of is when you show up in a police car, for example, obviously that puts an additional pressure, psychological, mental, et cetera, especially with someone who may be in a vulnerable position. I was curious of when they do this in the in what you learned from London, when they do this on an online presence, obviously security is a highest concern, being in a safe place. Are officers in that particular case able to do so in type of a plain clothes scenario where it doesn't look like the victim is speaking to someone at a police department in case somebody walks in or they're concerned about their safety, even in an online engagement?
So in an opportunity to pass along thanks to the London Police Service. They were quite open in terms of providing all their process flows, decision-making matrix in terms of what calls were included and what weren't for their pilot project specifically. And those were intimate partner violence type reporting, which is quite high across the province, let alone Canada. But they're in their decision-making matrix for the call to be able to be answered on a virtual call. There are a number of conditions needed to be in place. One of them being, the safety being paramount of the victim. So the ability to hang up immediately, or just even to answer that if the person's safety is at risk, and they've asked for police, they're always going police. Generally in uniform because it's an emergency response. Should they choose to respond from a virtual perspective, the victim, and it meets the criteria, it is with a uniformed officer on video. We are aware that sometimes intimate partner violence does not get reported because of issues that, to be quite honest, they should have been factored in before. When we look at it, there's a cause for embarrassment, and which seems from my perspective, and certainly I'm learning with respect to a trauma-informed lens, there's embarrassment of having a marked uniform car pull up in front of your house to your neighbors, even though the more serious offense that occurred. We're trying in all ways, shapes, and forms to give people options. We'd rather know about it than have someone not report it out of embarrassment. It's a failure on a societal level. So this approach certainly would invite the opportunity. If you don't want to do it, just please report it. And the more serious, when they with intimate partner violence, sometimes there is follow-up from plainclothes officers from our Crimes Against Persons unit, depending on the circumstances in the individual incident.
Any other questions for Chief Johnston? I have a couple comments, Chief, if I may. One, first, with respect to the collaborative pilot project with South Simcoe. I did have the opportunity to speak to one of our K9 team members, and their initial response was extremely positive about the project. So from a board perspective, we're always looking for opportunities to, I think it's a win-win, or could be, it's a pilot project, a win-win in terms of providing additional service and at the same time maybe saving some money and overtime and things like that. So thank you for taking that initiative, and please continue to look for other initiatives that may expand our service and reduce our costs. So hopefully that project works out, but the feedback member of our team was very, very positive. And secondly, on behalf of the board, to please extend to Inspector Gates our congratulations. We do acknowledge and understand the significance of her recognition, and please extend our congratulations to her.
Thank you, Chair. I will do that.
Any other? I don't see any hands up. Our next board meeting is Thursday, May the 18th. The motion to adjourn. Mr. Khan. Thank you very much, everyone.